What's up? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be talking about data annotation. So the data annotation has been around for quite some time just because if you look all over the news, it's always AI this and AI that, and it's the new coming of a new age, and the AI absolutely needs to be trained. And so there's a lot of platforms you can go off of to make money. For example, Alignerr, Stellar, Data Annotation AI, Outlier, which is bought by Meta, and then there's another one called Mercor, but that one has been under investigation because they just had a data breach, and so their platform is up in the air. But there's a lot of different platforms you can go off of to make money. I wouldn't make a career out of this just because it's really tough. As it goes on, the AI is going to get better and better, and so your skills are going to be needed to be more specialized. But if you have like a PhD or a master's, but even now, you can still make a good amount of money per day if you just work a few hours, at least $100, and that'll be good enough to get out of debt or maybe put that money towards a small business to hop onto something else. So let's take a look at what we can do and how we can make money off of data annotation. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is go onto their website, and whichever platform you will feel comfortable going on, they're all basically very similar, and then you're gonna take a generic test. And what you're going to see on the test is that the test is going to have a AI prompt. A prompt, for example, let's say you type in NBA basketball game that has gone to overtime, and they'll give you two AI answers. And then you're going to have to go through and select which one is the most correct. And then you're going to have to do some annotating and explain why one is correct and why the other is better than the other one. And so you're going to have to do some research and explain why maybe the AI gave a wrong answer. So here we have, it explains that the Nuggets played the Portland Blazers and it went to overtime, but this isn't true because the Blazers didn't even make the playoffs. And you can find this online. Don't ask AI for the answer because then they'll just detect that, hey, this is an AI answer, and you'll just get banned. And you don't want to get banned. This is very simple, it's very doable that you can pass. Afterwards, after you pass the test, you're gonna get a welcome email. Congratulations! You're gonna have like dollar signs in your eyes, and you're going to want to be making money right away. Don't be too excited. It's gonna take like a week or so. Sometimes it can take a little longer. When I tried to sign up for Stellar, it took over 6 months just because there was like a freeze for a second, and eventually I was on the platform, and I was able to get started to start making money. So after you're onboarded, you're going to go to a welcome screen. You're going to have to get some logistical things out of the way. You're going to have to sign some documents, and then you're going to have to get your tax information underway. That way, at the end of the year, they can send you your tax information. And then there's also some maybe other tests that you can take if you have expertise in other fields. So there's STEM fields, there are coding tests you can take just so that you can have different projects and then have higher pay depending on your level of expertise if you have a master's or a PhD. And the good thing is that some of it is test dependent. So as long as you pass the test, then it shows that you have the expertise, then it's not too stringent on having the educational background. But depending on the platform, there's going to be specific details on how that works. Next, you're going to have to download some programs such as Hubstaff. Hubstaff just monitors your computer that makes sure that you're actually working and that you're not using any kind of VPN and that the timing is correct. And then also on top of that, other programs that you might need is like Slack, Discord, Zoom. That way you can have a lot of support from the QMs or the PMs, depending on what platform. They have different names. But basically, they oversee the project and make sure the quality is really high. You'll have daily war rooms so that you can ask questions and then you can get help from the staff. It's important to get all these things out of the way. That way, you can have the most support possible so that when you do the task, you feel very comfortable and that if you have any questions or anything breaks down, you can have immediate help. Once you get acclimated onto the platform, then you can start doing projects where you'll do an onboarding. Most of the time, every onboarding is different because all the projects are going to be different format. Sometimes you're going to have like a really long onboarding. Sometimes you're going to have to take a test, another test, just to make sure that you're still up to par. So far, Stellar and Aligner, when you have to do like a test, they'll give you a little pay bump at the end, and so maybe you'll make like $100 or like $50 if you pass the test. So far, Aligner doesn't really pay you after you finish the onboarding. Sometimes there will be a reward, but that rarely ever happens. Um, Sometimes people get crazy in the comment section where they'll start accusing the platform of trying to have them do work without pay, and that they're just giving them an actual job, and that the test is an actual work, but it isn't, because most people will have the same. Sometimes there will be like two tests, but a huge group will have identical tests, and so they're not everybody's doing the same thing. Don't get crazy. It's an actual test, and no one's trying to cheat you. These are pretty reputable platforms. The ones that I'm naming, at least, in terms of paying you in the United States. So some things that you're gonna have to do is when you get your task, make sure you record the task ID just in case anything goes wrong. You can contact support. Then you actually do the task according to how the onboarding explains it to do. Make sure you create an actual checklist, so that way, before you complete the test and submit it, you're able to go through and explain and check off that everything that you need. The reason why is because even after doing all these tasks, it becomes so routine that you think that, oh yeah, I did everything, but sometimes you like miss a detail here and there, and then you're gonna get docked when you get feedback. After you submit your task, sometimes in the beginning you'll get throttled because they don't want people to like go plow through, do a bunch of tasks wrong. You'll make sure they'll do 2 or 3 right, and then you get feedback. They'll explain what you did wrong. That way you can make improvements. If you do a bad job in the beginning and you get really bad feedback, you'll get kicked off the project. So just make sure you take your time. Make sure you do things right. It's very doable. I've done it. I'll go through each type of task so that you will feel comfortable and you'll be very well prepared. Okay, so let's break it down into 3 categories: simple task, medium task, and hard task. And what we're going to do is go through each one of them and try to give you a feel from what to expect. There's a lot of different projects. They're all going to be completely different, but I'm just giving you an idea of the level of difficulty or simplicity, so that you know that you can actually do this and that you can actually make money off this platform. You should be feeling like you're going to be making some motherfucking money now, okay? So let's go through a simple one first. This ranges between about $20 to $35. For me, I worked on a project. I started out at $25, and then I got moved out to $30. And then if you do better, then you can move up to $35, which I wasn't on the project long enough. And an example of this task is to do like audible tasks with AI. So essentially, what they do is they give you a prompt, and then you're supposed to read it and follow the instructions, and then go through the response from the AI, and then grade it and see how well it did. So, for example, let's take a look at some a prompt you might get. You might get something like, read this prompt right here, and then have this background noise. So, for example, you say to the AI, give me some guidance on how to talk to HR about conflict with my manager. And then you also play this background noise in the background. And then the AI is supposed to understand what you're saying, and then they'll give you a response. Typically, when you sign up for these projects, they'll say something like, "Oh, you need a high-end mic," but they found that users don't have high-end mics, and it was too clear and that it was too easy to understand, and that the mic would just lessen the background noise, so that didn't work out. But you can use an iPhone. An iPhone's good enough. iPhone, you should be able to nowadays connect it as a microphone or connect it as like a continual camera, but you just you're using the microphone. You'll do that, you'll grade it, and then it should take you about 3 to 5 minutes to do. But then they have thousands of tasks. So you just go through it, maybe you'll do like 20 an hour. It's pretty simple, pretty mundane, pretty boring after a while, but it's a lot of money. I mean, $35, 20 to $35. That's pretty good for just doing these mundane tasks. So that is the simple task. The next level of task is, let's just call it medium level task. Typically, you're gonna get paid between $30 to $50, and that includes anything from like a bachelor level categories, psychology, history, STEM, law. Any of these will be part of a project. So typically, a simplified version of a project would be you have to come up with your own prompt to give to the AI, and then the AI has to give the wrong answer. So you have to think of a prompt that tricks the AI, and they'll give you a couple little scenarios on how to format the prompt to try to get the AI to fail. And it's very doable. You might be thinking, oh, this AI is too smart, or I can't come up with something. Relax, okay? The AI company is isolating a specific category because they know that this is like a weak point for the AI, and that the AI is not going to do too well. So it's expected that the AI is going to fail, so that the bar in terms of getting the AI to fail is a lot lower than you'd think. So let's take a look at this guy right here. He likes to make TikTok videos of where AI fails and just pokes fun at it. So let's take a look.
Tell me a number under 1,000 that has an A spelt in it.
Sure. For example, the number 8 has an A in it right in the middle, and it's definitely under 1,000.
Okay, spell that out then.
E-I-G-H-T.
Okay, where's the A?
You're absolutely right. There's no A in that. I slipped there. Let me fix that. A number like 1,000 has an A in it, though that's exactly
Yeah, that doesn't count below that.
Fair enough. Let's go with 100, which does have an A in 100. That's safely below 1,000.
100 doesn't have an A in it.
You're absolutely right again. I was focusing on the wrong part. Let me get this truly correct. 1,000 is out. A solid example under 1,000 is 101. That and gets us the A.
Okay, but the and is not the number. That's just like, I guess kind of. Let's not count that.
Okay, so that was really simple. He's just, I don't know how he found this, but he found a way to trick this AI, and then you're supposed to go in, and then you're supposed to actually give the actual response on the perfect answer to this prompt that you asked it. His is really simple. I'm not really sure how he found that or why the AI failed, but when you're in an expertise in a certain area, you're gonna be asking questions in that area. So let's take an example with law. So here you can type in a question like, okay, give me some examples of where a public figure was able to prove reckless disregard for the truth. And the AI gives you an answer. And then I followed up by saying, okay, give me some more examples in the last 20 years. So here it gives me an example of Sarah Palin versus the New York Times, where the New York Times said that she was part of the reason why a couple of people died, and that she played a role in that. And it turns out they were wrong, and they took down their article immediately, but they still said that, and she sued them. And this AI said that that she won, but in actuality, you're the expert. You're supposed to come back and say, no, she didn't win. She actually lost, and you're supposed to give something like a golden answer, which is what the AI should actually say, and how you should format it in a way and explain it in such a way that the user can understand. So that will take you, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 hours to do. They'll give you a time limit to do it, and then you're supposed to be able to finish the task in that time limit. It's very doable. You just gotta get the hang of it. Once you get the first one through, and that you get your feedback, and that you did everything right, then you should get the ball rolling, and then you should get pretty comfortable and have an idea. Okay, yeah, I can do this. Lastly, we have hard level. We'll just call it hard level task, which is typically your coding, your software engineering. That I've seen. This is where you make over $50 an hour, and it's very doable. You just gotta the range of skills required varies a lot, because there's some projects where it does involve coding, but it's just little scripts that you're writing, so that you're making the AI look through like a database and just like write a little script on what the AI is supposed to put in to check what the database is, to all the way to making a full-on page. So we'll go through an example of a task and show you how difficult it is and how doable. So a project that I worked on is that you just go to if you find a website, you take a picture of it, and then you give the AI the picture, and you write a prompt, and you explain like, okay, this is what the web page is for. It's this game. It's a memory game. You're supposed to just flip over these tiles, and whatever that matches, you get points. And there's a status bar at the top that shows how smart you are, so on and so forth. But you don't explain everything. You let the AI try to figure out that what some of these buttons do on its own, and then when you submit it, you run the AI. The AI is gonna give you a response on a full-blown website, and then you go through it and you check all the buttons to make sure they work. Then you have to go through the code, and it'll look like this, and you have to explain. Okay, so you can just see through by the code that hey, this is why this is breaking, because this code does it wrong. It tries to do this instead of that. That's where your expertise in coding comes through. But also, you have to just manually do everything. Just start clicking around, making sure everything's supposed to work, and then you're supposed to add on other things. When I say you're supposed to do this and that, it's all in the onboarding. It'll be explained to you, and you'll create a checklist, like I said before, and you'll be able to go through it and complete this task. These can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to do. It may seem like a long time, but once you're doing the task and you're just very focused on doing it, time just flies. You'll just be zipping through these tasks. And like I said, you'll be able to be on these war rooms, and you'll have like Slack, Discord, Zoom to be able to talk to your QM, and they'll be able to share your screen, and then that way, if you have any questions, you can figure things out with them. Now that you finish like one task and you are unthrottled, you're able to get through everything, then you should be going balls to the wall. You should be cramming in as much hours as possible. The thing is that if you're able to get in on a project when it says something, whatever the name is, V2, that means it's been revised a couple of times to make sure what the AI company has ironed out what they actually want. Then you should be able to be cranking out these tasks. And it does go for several weeks, but there's a lot of other people who also want to do as many tasks as possible, so they're cranking out as much. So you want to be able to do as much and make the most as that way you don't get moved to another project and you have to start over, and you're doing less tasks than everybody else. So you just go balls to the wall and be making that money. As you're working through these tasks, something that might happen is that you're going to be promoted to a reviewer. So when you're doing these tasks, you get feedback. Yeah, there's a person giving the feedback. That might be you eventually. And the good thing about that is that it's broken down into you're doing tasks, and then as the project ends, the reviewers take over, and you'll be on the project for extended period of time, maybe like 1 or 2 more weeks, and you'll be more familiar. So that's the positive thing about it. And what I usually do is that I do get promoted to reviewer pretty quickly, but I'll ask the PM if I can just be a tasker or a contributor. It's different terminologies, but a contributor who's just going through the task, because you spend more time doing the task, and the reviewers you'll have less time reviewing someone else's task. So you want to be able to do a lot of contribution in the beginning. That way you can rack up more hours. That's at least my strategy. Other positions that you might get is you might get hired by the company actually if you do a really good job and they feel like, hey, this person can really run a project. That's a possibility. Another possibility is that the AI company could hire you too, because they'll see that, okay, this guy really understands how the AI works and is able to train it really well. So they'll reach out to you and they'll ask you, hey, do you want to work for the company as a independent contractor, but just for a longer period of time, and then you'll get paid even more. They contacted me, but I'm not too sure about it. I haven't been asked to work for an AI company. They've shown some interest, but I've actually never have done it. And this is mainly on Outlier. The other platforms, you can be a reviewer on those ones too. This is just some idea of what could happen. Just because you're on the platform does not mean you're permanent on here. You can get banned if you do unethical things like just try to time steal and just prolong doing the task just to stretch it out and make money. Just simply just clicking around. That'll get you banned. If you try to use AI to train the AI, that's gonna get you banned. If you try to message people asking for the answers, if you try to give out the answers to other people, that's gonna get you banned. You don't want to do that just because you want to keep the platform very clean. You want people on there who have like really good integrity. That way, you're giving feedback to other people if you're a reviewer who are actually working hard and all together like cohesively building a very very smart AI. So you don't want to pollute the platform, having people just run amok all over the place. Oh, something else is that people have been asking me in the comment section is if I can create an account for them or if I can give them one of my accounts. I'm not gonna do that. That's pretty unethical to do. And you can typically figure out how to do it on your own. This is very doable. I've done it. I think that you can do it too. That's why I'm explaining things to you just so that you're prepared. But for the most part, the idea is to keep the platform very cleansed so that everybody's working hard and making sure that the AI is being properly trained. Other ways to make money are referrals. You can actually make a good amount of money doing referrals. I'm not gonna throw out my link because I don't know if they really allow you just to broadcast your link to everybody and then just have a bunch of random people start clicking your link. Other ways are like a special status for Outlier. You can be upgraded to what they call Oracle status, and you can make an extra, $3 to $5 an hour, depending on what other kinds of missions they give you. Other things are what's called missions. Basically, they're trying to meet some deadline, and they want you to, work X amount of hours or do X amount of tasks or do a mixture of both. The most organized platform, I would say, is Outlier because they actually have a counter where they show you your progress as opposed to other platforms where, I got an email from this platform and they said that if you do this, then you'll get it. And there's not really any confirmation, but I have seen people in the chat confirming that they got the bonus, and so it's legit, but it's just not as well documented, and you can't visually see it as well as the Outlier platform. So there are extra ways to make money. There you have it. That's how you train AI, and that's how you make money off of data annotation. Leave in the comment section what would you do if you just made a couple extra $100. What are you putting it towards? Let me know. That way I can get some ideas on future videos and to give you guys help on whatnot.